Hi, everyone. I'm Joseph Poon. We're working on a project called Warp, which is a fully on-chain order book on the EVM. This is fully on-chain without offline servers, separate systems. And I'm sort of going to, this presentation's more about the history and sort of why we built this and where we are today and why I believe that this is an important work. So for the past 6 years that we've had DeFi, we haven't actually had modern decentralized exchanges on-chain. What we've had are automated market makers, also known as AMMs. And it's important to discuss things that are fully on-chain, right? AMMs are fully on-chain, and because we're working on decentralized technologies with trust minimization, it's very important to be thinking along these lines of how do we design systems without central servers, single execution, which you trust to operate honestly. And on-chain constructions allow you to make it so that you individually can not only validate, but also execute what is a global peer-to-peer network. And without modern exchanges, DeFi today is actually just operating out of the Middle Ages when it comes to financial technologies. And AMMs functionally are not exchanges. What they are more dealers than it is an actual market. And what do I mean by that? A dealer is sort of an individual or organization which offers a quoted price. And that's sort of like the quotes that you see at the airport when you go to the money changer, right? They give you on the board a price, and it's like, do I like this price or not? It's not really a competitive environment in relation to that venue, right? You can't really negotiate all that much. Maybe you can a little bit, but it's with a single individual, and it's definitely not a competitive marketplace of many different agents interacting with it to be able to tighten the spread. And the trade is usually made with the dealer's own inventory. And an AMM functionally is a decentralized version of a dealer. AMMs also quote a singular price for a given quantity. And at most, one can really just go shopping between different AMMs. It's like in the Middle Ages where you were at a market, you go to a couple money changers and find the best rate. AMMs importantly provide decentralization and a lack of ownership and control of the system, verifiability, and being fully on-chain, but they provide decentralization of the dealer themselves, right? It's a decentralized dealer at the airport, a decentralized money changer at the airport. But there isn't competition within the AMM, right? You have an AMM where you're interacting with a quoted price. If I wanted to insert my own price into there, I can't do that. All I can do is insert into the LP pool, and functionally transactions are over the counter with this dealer. Starting around the 1600s, we've moved from this dealer model into a true, what one would view as a true modern exchange. What you use with a centralized exchange is sort of an example of that. That started with Amsterdam, where people gathered together in a single space within a building for a particular asset, and they competed with each other to offer the best price on both the bid and the ask. This has been generally known as the open outcry model, whereby people just say what they want and people communicate that. That moved from stocks to commodities in Japan in the late 1600s. In the New York Stock Exchange, they've done innovation over the years with different market maker models, and it moved on to commodities futures, which is really why we don't have starvation in the modern world, right? The invention of the commodities markets and exchanges is functionally why we're able to predict demand, account for changes in supply, and generally being able to feed everyone in the world. And then eventually it became digitized, and that's starting to look a lot like what we have today. where you have a computer screen, you receive quotations, and then in the 60s and 70s, what happened was it became, still sort of an open outcry model, but, it's just over computers instead. What you see today in terms of how you use equities, futures, commodities, spot commodities, and even crypto exchanges was really actually came out of the 90s with Island and Arca. With the central limit order book, all these types of designs where you put in a bid, market depth, orderly execution that you see even in centralized crypto exchanges. What that gets you is the ability to create fair market prices and be able to deliver sort of expected, tight spreads without, these dealers and constructions with this open outcry model with very wide spreads. So what is a modern exchange? A modern exchange that you see in, basically every single liquid market implies a central limit order book where you say, I'm willing to offer this price or sell at this price at a particular quantity. And the exchange can quote you on the best price as well as a market depth. So you know what price generally you're going to get. And you see this process of automated order matching that Island and Arca popularized, where instead of people interacting with each other, it becomes I put in an order, it executes through a logical algorithm that is fully computerized, and there's transparency in order execution. If you notice, how you use DeFi today on chain does not fulfill really many of these properties. If anything, it's just transparency. And why is it important to construct a market as opposed to a dealer? That creates tight spreads through competition. Instead of dealing with a single party, you're able to compete. Individuals are able to compete, you get orderly execution, and you get ease of price discovery on the system. Additionally, there's no need for LP pools. Right? And this is very, very important for things like real-world assets. Imagine you're putting in, let's say, whether it be real estate, treasuries or whatever. It's kind of bizarre to be putting in an equal dollar amount and have that be a function of liquidity. There's a reason why the real market doesn't work this way and doesn't have these concept of LP pools. It would be bizarre to say, I want to be providing liquidity on Apple stock and also, be providing $1 billion worth of Apple stock and $1 billion in order to provide liquidity and market make this system. Impermanent loss, things like that, it just makes this system basically a non-starter for the next generation of crypto, and if we want crypto to enter into the traditional financial system, and for the traditional financial system to use our designs. So why hasn't it been, so what are the properties? We need price time priority, high price precision, the ability to prevent the system from locking up. And this is actually the most important point, which I'll get into. And more importantly, this algorithm basically shouldn't cheat or cut corners. And generally, what you've seen in terms of how people have cheated and cut corners, reduction in price precision, having centralized validator sets, having servers run it, having a crank, seats, delayed matching, all these things make it so that it can kind of work, but doesn't really work when it comes to looking like your experience when you use centralized exchanges or traditional TradFi exchanges. We believe we've developed an algorithm and a product which enables on-chain a modern decentralized exchange, which brings about price transparency and hopefully solves ecosystem liquidity issues in relation to different layer 2s. And what I mean by that is, right now there's a large problem in the crypto space between layer 2s where you need to choose a venue, right? With LP pools, you need to choose whether you locate it on Optimism or Arbitrum or Base or whatever it may be, and you can't really move the liquidity between them. With a central limit order book, you're able to arbitrage between systems seamlessly. $1,000 of depth of liquidity is $1,000, true $1,000 depth. and you don't have to worry about slippage in that regard. But why haven't this existed in the past 6 years of DeFi without making these compromises? The fundamental reason that you haven't seen what the algorithms TradFi has used into on-chain smart contracts is because if you do a large sell, imagine a whale sells, like $1 million or $10 million of something on an order book, they may fill thousands or even millions. In the case of an adversarial system like a blockchain, someone could be intentionally spamming the system, right? And if someone does a large sell, what would happen is those orders would need to be processed sequentially. Now, if you remember, every block has a gas size limit. And when you go over the gas size limit, that transaction just can't get in. So if you do a large sell and you need to process millions or billions of orders even in an adversarial setting, what you get is an environment where the system just locks up. And there's a couple ways to cut corners, but ultimately what you get is a system which doesn't look like the experience that you get with centralized exchanges. And solving this is the fundamental problem that everyone has been thinking about for the past 6 years. We've constructed a system with price time priority, at least 1/10 of a basis points. It's fully on chain. I mean, I don't want to run any system. I can shut everything down. The thing still runs. There's no key be deployed with it. It's actually fully on chain. And the insight that we've constructed is whereby the order matching engine, which is fully on chain, is a logarithmic function of the number of orders as opposed to a linear function. And that allows you to have a hard gas cap even if you are filling billions or even trillions of orders off of a single match. It's an EVM smart contract. It's written in Solidity assembly. It's fully open source. It's currently in the code audit process where we will be launching an exchange. You can use it much like how you use any other AMM DEX, except you can now place limit orders, and we believe that that is what one would experience as a true exchange in the same way that you would use a centralized exchange. This algorithm can be used for products that, never say never, but most likely we're not going to directly build, but the algorithm is open source. You can build things like NFT auctions on this. We believe that traditional RWAs are now feasible to do on-chain. Without this, we don't think that, maybe you can hold assets there, but that's about it. I think the ability to construct markets and exchanges on-chain may create a new wave of DeFi. What we can now build are true competitive markets as opposed to dealer systems. And mentally, what that looks like is a decentralized network of computers with no single owner replicating the functions of whether it be commodities markets, Forex, stock exchange, without the need of a single server. Imagine like the CME, NYSE, Hong Kong exchange, without a data center operating the exchange, without a single server that one trusts to operate correctly. And instead, it's run by a globally decentralized network where transactions are broadcast in a peer-to-peer manner. It gets executed, mined, and verified by every single computer running a full node. And that means at home, you can be running not only like broadcasting transactions in a peer-to-peer manner, but verifying and executing it locally, where you not only have an view of the execution, but you can prove the view of the execution, and having a full level 3 data feed just by running a computer connected to the internet completely permissionlessly. And we believe additionally the tooling, we're at a stage where DeFi, this tooling is substantially better than the tooling that we see in TradFi. And we believe that the ability to have a full decentralized marketplace with competitive bids, asks, and limit orders has the opportunity to show TradFi what we've been working on for the past 6 years. And to keep up to date, go to warp.io. We're going to be launching in the next several months, and definitely we hope that you can try it out. Thank you.